Well, folks, we made it to season 7. Welcome to the Vulnerability Time podcast. I am your host, Josias Abriel, and published author. Speaking of published author, before the episode starts, make sure to go check out my books. They're available on Amazon, and the link is in the episode description below. Go ahead, get you some healing. One's a poetry book about overcoming pain and trauma and stuff like that, and then the other one's a self-awareness interactive journal notebook. So get you some healing. You're worth it. Another thing that you're worth all the love in the world. You're worth all the healing in the world, and I'm glad that you're here with us today to heal together. You are loved, you are valuable. This is your sign. Alrighty, enjoy the episode. Bye, folks. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to season 8 of Vulnerability Time. Angie, you're the season 8 premiere.
Nice.
I decided this last night. Well, it wasn't actually nighttime, it was in the morning, but I decided this at like 1 a.m. I was like, why not? So,
Wh Why not?
yes. So welcome everyone to season 8. We even made it to season 8, even though season 1 was kind of like 3 seasons in one, but season 8. So we're here. Season 8 slash season 11. Same thing, same thing. Okay. So folks, with us today, we have Angie. Angie, welcome to the Vulnerability Time podcast. Um,
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's fabulous to have you. I know y'all can't see it, but Angie's wearing these super fabulous glasses, and I'm here for it. I'm loving it. Okay, so Angie, before we get into our conversation, our topic, our discussion today, tell us a little bit about yourselves. Any credentials, any work that you do, hobbies, things like that. I don't know. Yeah, share with us.
Well, I am the author and speaker of Running in Slippers, which is a memoir that covers a 5-year period of my life that was basically a total train wreck. It's extremely vulnerable, and the reason I wrote it that way is because I feel like as a society, we tend to hide behind our social media edits and facades. Also, in real life, we put on our happy face and pretend everything's okay, but the truth is, we all go through difficult things. So, the whole goal of the book is to connect through vulnerability. I'm also an inner glow coach, so I help women transform from being exhausted people pleasers and transform them into being lit up powerhouses who radiate confidence and attract all the success and everything they deserve instead of chasing after it.
Yes. Oh, that's beautiful. So how long have you been doing that?
Only a few months because I quit my corporate job. I was in corporate America
Mhm.
for 20 years, over
Yeah.
20 years. And it just got to the point because I was extremely burned out and exhausted because I was over giving to something that just wasn't aligned with who I was.
Yeah.
And so because I've done the inner work on myself, I realized that that's basically a form of self-abandonment when you're giving to something that's not aligned with who you were
Mhm.
or are. So I had to make the difficult decision to leave corporate America, even though it was extremely terrifying, because I would rather not self-abandon than
Mhm.
do something terrifying and out of my comfort zone.
Yes, I agree, and I love I love that concept, the self-abandonment. Because I recently, and by recently I mean within the past 2, 3 years, 4 years, have learned that concept, and I was able to see it in my life, and learn from it. And I also like what you said that it wasn't an easy decision to leave. Just like, yeah, like sometimes choosing ourselves can be difficult. depending on the situation, the circumstances, the environment, it can be difficult. So I love what you said there. Yeah, like I'm such an advocate for, not self-abandoning, and things like that. But I love that you mentioned that, hey, like, guess what? It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy.
Yeah, and adding on to that, I feel like when you self-abandon or have behaviors like that, in the short term, it feels good
Mm,
because, like, for instance, in my corporate job, it's like I was making the money, I felt responsible, et cetera, et
mhm,
cetera. So in the short term, it feels good, but in the long term, it is really damaging to your mental health. But I feel like the reverse can be true when you stop self-abandoning.
mhm,
Sometimes it does feel good in the short term,
mhm,
but sometimes it doesn't always feel good in the short term, but it always feels good in the long term.
mhm. I I 1000% agree. I 1000% agree. Yes. Oh yeah. No, so thank you for sharing that. Okay, so let's just dive right into our topic. So the topic of our journey involving suicide.
Yes.
Take us through that journey as much as you want to share.
So it starts in my childhood
Mhm,
because I grew up in a home that, and this is not to criticize
mhm.
my
Wait,
parents.
wait, before we start, Angie, I just want
Yes.
to let you know if you see me looking off to the side, it's because I'm making sure that it's still recording. Just
Okay.
so I'm not like texting or anything. So yeah, sorry, continue. Just wanted to let you know. I'm listening.
Thank you. Um, and this is not to criticize my parents, I'm just stating facts. My parents were able to provide, because I have a sister, so they were able to provide our physical needs. We had a roof over our head, we went to school, we had all the basic necessities, but it was an environment that was very emotionally neglectful, and I wouldn't have described it that way. That's me describing it as an adult in hindsight,
Mm,
but as a child, I wouldn't have said, "Oh, it's emotionally neglectful." I interpreted the situation as a child as there was something wrong with me and that I didn't deserve to be loved. So, as most of us know, your internal beliefs are what dictate your behaviors, and that's what dictates the situations that you end up in throughout life. So, as you can probably imagine, as I went about through life, I was looking for validation and worth in everything outside of me. As I briefly alluded to earlier, I overachieved at jobs that didn't respect me because I didn't respect myself. I would people please because I cared way more about what other people thought of me than what I thought of myself. And I had a very bad habit of not facing any of this and not feeling my feelings. I would numb them, I would stuff them down in any way that I could. So I didn't feel my feelings for a very long time. And in 2017, my boyfriend broke up with me, and shortly thereafter, my dad passed away. And if anyone has had a parent or a huge loss to someone close to them, they understand that it just puts you in this profound grief that you don't even know how to explain. And for the first time in my life, I was actually faced with feeling my feelings. And again, I was dealing with it by seeking things outside of myself, and I went through this soul searching period where for the first time in my life, I had actually started thinking about, like, okay, what would make me happy? I knew how I was living wasn't working, so it's like, what can I do differently? So I made the decision to move from Chicago, where I was living, to Hawaii, which the intention was good because, again, the motivation was to be happier and have a better life. But again, I was seeking something outside of myself because I was looking for the move to be the thing that made me feel happier. And so I moved to Hawaii, and the, you know, the reality of the situation was definitely not what I was expecting. Well, first of all, when I first moved, there was a huge management shakeup in my job, and I was very fortunate. I was able to keep my job and work remotely, but there was this huge management shakeup. So for about a year after I moved, I was in constant fear of losing my job because they were laying a lot of people off. There were so many changes. So that was a huge source of stress. I also had trouble making new friends, which is something that I had never dealt with before in my life, so I didn't know how to deal with that. Another thing that happened is I bought a new condo as soon as I moved here, and about a month after I closed, a shared pipe in the building backflowed into my bathroom sink, and I wasn't home, so my entire condo flooded, which that would be stressful in any circumstance, but adding to the fact that I had just moved, I didn't have any friends, et cetera, and the next 2 years was just challenge after challenge with no time to emotionally recover in between. And then COVID happened. So that was I don't even have to explain why that was stressful. And then I got romantically involved with someone during COVID, and that ended in betrayal. And that was for me the straw that broke the camel's back because it was just 2.5 years of shit after shit after shit, and I literally could not take it anymore. I just remember, like, the emotional pain was so all-consuming, and I just couldn't take it anymore. So, I had been taking I feel like I always pronounce it wrong, clonazepam.
No,
It's
I've been on that before. I think I
okay.
pronounce it wrong all the time.
Okay, good,
Yeah,
good.
all the time.
So you know what I'm talking about
Yeah.
though. So you know how strong they are because I took it for anxiety and I would only take a half pill before I went to bed, and it would knock me out cold for 8 hours straight.
Mhm.
So I took an entire bottle because I had just refilled a
You
new
feel it.
bottle, and I
Yeah.
think there were 32 pills in there, and I was like, "I'm just ready for this all to end." So I took the entire bottle, and I remember I laid down in my shower just waiting for it to end, and obviously, spoiler alert, I'm here. But it turns out I was unconscious in my shower for a day and a half. Somehow I was able to text a friend, and she took me to the hospital, and I spent another day and a half in the hospital. And then when I got out of the hospital, I was offline for 3 days straight, and I got out of the hospital, I turned on my phone, I had a bunch of texts, and one of my friends in particular was concerned about me because I was supposed to go to this workshop with her, and I didn't show up. So I called her when I got home, and I didn't wanna tell anyone what happened because I was so ashamed and embarrassed, but I was just still such an emotional wreck. I had a total breakdown. I told her what happened, and her response because I ended the story with, "I can't believe I didn't die." And her response was, "It's not your time." And it was so profound that it sent chills down my spine. And in that moment, I was like, "Okay, I have a purpose and I'm determined to figure out what it is."
You know, thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Um, I definitely can speak to the it not being your time. Coming from someone who's also like, actually completed suicide, and I got to go on the other side. On the other side, I
Mm.
mean, some people call it heaven. I call it eternity or the other side just because
Yeah.
it's
I
too.
call it the other side too.
Yes. Nothing but a great experience. But I will say for sure, there's like you can do a lot of things, and if it's not your time, it's not your time. And so
Yeah.
they'll oftentimes, depending on who you meet over on the other side, it could be people from past lives, it could be family members, it could be extended masters, Jesus, Buddha, whoever, it could be whatever, spirit guides. But oftentimes they'll say, it's not your time. You still have work left to do. You still have a purpose. And so they'll send you back. Yes. And
So
so
tell me about your experience though, because I was just blacked out. Like, because I mean, being unconscious for a day and a half, I think I was on the verge, but I didn't have any experience or remember any experience of crossing over and then coming
yeah.
back. So I'm super curious about your experience.
Yeah. So mine, I believe, was so from what I understood it as is that when how people go to the other side, if they're just put in the waiting room and then come back, like it's all strategic and so personalized.
Yeah, and I
Um,
firmly believe that. I think I was in the
mhm.
waiting room.
Yes, yes, the waiting room. Yes, yes, it's like it's really just personalized and really just so thoughtful to us and how it, how like we're going to receive the right amount of um the right amount of emotional or something we receive. How do I say this? How do I say this? My mouth is going faster than my brain.
I do that
um
all the time.
Yeah, that's right. Let's say, for example, here's an example. I don't think it's the best example, but it's close as I can get. Because I haven't verbalized it like this before. I actually never learned how to verbalize it. So one time, someone judged me one time. I went to this, and I didn't want to go, but I self-abandoned and
Yes.
went to this church retreat, right? Because it was with someone that I missed. So I was like, I'll be spending time with them. That's fine. And so, anyway, so two people had judged me at the church retreat, of course. And they it hurt me enough for me to learn the lesson, because I also was judging and I didn't realize it. I wasn't judging them. I was judging
Mm,
like other people, and I didn't realize it. And that's something that that just never really aligned with me, And so their judgment towards me, it wasn't too much, it wasn't too little, it was just right, just enough for me to get the lesson. It seemed very strategic how it all happened. It seemed like it was just the right amount. Of course, well, and the aspect of hurt, I'm glad I didn't get hurt more, but
yes.
I'm sure the lesson might have been learned. I don't know, but whatever lesson that I needed to learn in that moment in my life, I learned. And it was really an eye opener. And so that's what I'm trying to relate back to, um, people's experience with the other side. It's like, the right thing happened, for like the right transition
Yeah.
happened, whether it's the waiting room, because like some people, yes, going on the other side would have been great, like amazing. It's amazing, you know, but like that might have steered away from, I don't know, the lesson. The lesson might have been there, but it might have got overshadowed by the amazement and the joy and the love on the other side. It can make you forget a lot of things. But I also do know some people, they still get on the other side, but when they come back, they forget on
Oh,
purpose.
interesting.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so I could have just forgotten.
Yes, 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 yes. But your spirit didn't, though. So if you did go on the other side, like your spirit didn't forget, and you might be getting downloads throughout life, and you're like, where did that come from? You
Yeah.
know. But sorry, that was a little, I don't know, that was just off topic. I don't know. Maybe someone needs to hear that. I don't know. But yeah, so my experience, yeah, I took a bottle of pills, went on the other side, and immediately all my pain went away, and I felt love for the first time in my life, because that's something at the age
Mm,
of 15 I'd never experienced. I didn't even realize until I went on the other side and came back that, you know, what my father was doing to me wasn't love. How I was being treated at home, that was not love, but I had nothing to compare it to. And
right.
so, and so after hearing my whole life, like, you should kill yourself, no one loves you, our mom should have aborted you, things of that, like the physical abuse, the sexual abuse, it was just my whole life, like that was just the normal for my childhood. And so for me, and I was always, and my dad, excuse me, father. He's my father by DNA. I like to make a distinction. I was like, okay, father by DNA, dad by relationship. That is
Yeah, I
my
think the
father.
words we choose are really powerful, so I
Very
like that.
powerful. Yes, yes. And so he yeah, so he was also a pastor, and so I always heard, like, Jesus hates me and that I'm going to hell and things like that, and I just hated myself even more, and then I started
Yeah.
self-harming. I was getting bullied all the time, at home and at school. um and so, eventually I just, like, on February 23rd, 2013, I just took all the pills, and I just got in immense pain because it was painkillers, and so,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, they if you take too much, folks, it'll attack your kidneys. And so, and I just remember I just said, Jesus, like, out of just, I was in so much pain, and mind you, I didn't really believe in any Jesus or anything. I believed that hell was
Mhm.
real because that's all I was told. But I was like, if this Jesus guy is real, he sure as hell doesn't love me. And so I remember I was just out of nowhere, just out of my body, and I was being held. I was being held, and it was by someone strategic. It was by the Jesus guy.
Yeah.
It was very strategic that I experienced that love, and the love on the other side, the beauty on the other side. I needed that one to get some resistance, because what, like, all I was my normal was just abuse, and I thought that I didn't think
Mhm.
anything of it because it was just normal to me. And so, but I also, that Jesus guy wanted me to know that, one, hell is not real. That's a very man-made concept on purpose, and it's very strategic. I even did research, years later, on the history of where the concept of hell came from. How it started is not how it is now, and people, in power, a lot of men in
Uh,
power, of
I
course.
would believe that, yes.
Yes, it's a great control tactic, and it's a great way to get money. Fear is a great way to control
Oh,
people.
yeah, I was just
There's
gonna say fear is a great motivator.
Great. Yeah. Very strategic business move, unfortunately. Very strategic, political power moves. All of it, folks, do research on it. If you think hell is real and you're scared, I'm here to tell you I was a just I didn't care for a God. I didn't think God is real. I didn't believe at all in, like, a Jesus. And I was told that hell's not real, and that you don't even have to believe in anything to go. Like, you just don't. It's your life, you know what I mean? But yeah, so it was so beautiful, and I talk about this more in depth, Angie, in episode 130. I don't want
Okay.
to take up too much of your episode, so I'm trying to, like, shorten everything.
Okay.
But episode 130, I posted it, I released it 4 or 5 days ago. So after years of this, been like, I should release this. I finally released it. Yeah, but it was nothing but beauty. There, I will say, there are colors on the other side that we have not seen on this earth. It is so beautiful. And but what really stood out to me was learning more about, like, where my soul and my soul contract, and why certain things were happening in my life. Um why I went through what I went through. Like, I saw the oh, I hate saying this without a full explanation. How about this? Go see episode 130.
Okay.
But I
And then
will
we'll talk.
yes, but I do want to just echo, though, the amount of love and beauty, and it was just so amazing. Like, I was still out of my body, but I felt my tears on my human body wipe away, literally wipe away. And then also, what's really cool is that the Jesus that I met was not the Jesus that I was taught about in church. Um,
Yeah, I highly suspect that
yeah,
there's a lot of things fabricated.
1000%. He's just this huge yogi who's just Yeah, just he's just this huge yogi. Now if I was taught that Buddha or Muhammad, um, you know, hated me, I'm sure I would have met them. I wish I got to meet Buddha as well. Buddha's, an extended master as well. But yeah, but so I say all that to say, it was a very personalized and strategic experience. And I know tons of people, go on the other side and they come back and remember and they're saying very similar things as me. But something that I find so loving about it is that it was so like strategic. Like I needed to be held by the Jesus guy. I needed to be held by the Jesus guy. I didn't realize until I was held, until coming back, how much hearing that a power that I was taught was higher than me hated me.
Yeah.
That I didn't realize how much damage that did to me long term, and how even after the experience, I had to I came back healed from so many things. I really did. Like my kidneys were completely healed.
Oh,
Healed.
wow, that's amazing.
Completely, 1000% healed completely. And I mean, I took all the pills. So
Yeah.
there's no way. Um, but yeah, so it's just but even after, of course there are still some things that I still needed to go on a journey of healing from.
Oh, of
Even though I
course,
knew,
yes.
yeah, like even though I knew what I experienced, and and that did a lot for me, a lot. But there are some things that I was supposed to still, heal through, rather than it be just taken away, like most things that I was going through were. Um, yeah. So sorry. I hope I didn't take up too much time. A lot
No,
I
I
did.
love that. Also, but it just stresses the point that we all have a time and we don't decide when to die, our soul does.
But no, that's true. That's something that I talked about during the in episode 130 about, like, the soul contracts, like we do before we come to this earth, we do, choose so from mine at least, and from what I heard from others, but I don't know everyone's soul contract, um there is a set time where you no matter what you do, you cannot leave before that time. So like if you
Yeah.
try to
Oh,
do
I
some
firmly believe that.
yeah, like for example, I see it all the time when when you hear about car accidents and you're like that person, paramedics are like, how did they survive? And they walk away with scratches or they survive. And I was like, yeah, like it literally was not their time. That's like not how that works. Like for example, like if someone buys a gun and tries to, end it, the gun jams out of nowhere,
Yeah.
it jams. Yeah, I've heard stories by friends. Sorry, go ahead, Angie.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, the converse is also true as well because
Mhm,
I'm part of an intuition group, and every once in a while, we do like, because in our normal workshops, we do intuitive reads on each other,
mhm.
but we've had a few workshops that are solely based on mediumship where we read each
Yes.
other's, whoever who's on the other side. And I remember one workshop where we did the mediumship readings. I was paired with this woman, and her niece she was only like 20 when she passed. And she was like, it had been like a year before. And she was like, I don't know why she passed because she was like a beautiful soul. She helped so many people. And so I connected with her niece, and the reason her niece had to pass so early is because think about it. Like, my dad's on the other side, all my grandparents on the other side. If I were to pass, they would be there to welcome me, right? So I have people. Whereas younger people, say a baby dies, their parents are still alive, their grandparents are still alive. They don't really have anyone on the other side to greet them. So her niece, she transitioned to take on this role of welcoming all the young people who didn't have someone on the other side to greet them. So even conversely, when someone does pass and it doesn't make sense, there's still a purpose for it.
Yes, exactly. Everything. Yes, it definitely has a purpose.
And it's all just so profound and
It really is. It really is. And I love that you use the term past as well. I've lately been recently I've been changing my whole just verbiage on many things um recently, but something that I am proud of myself that I'm doing now is utilizing the word either past or transition, because death is a very 3D man-made concept that, yeah,
absolutely.
and we're,
And
yeah,
I learned that lesson with my dad passing because people think of death as like just being the end, like you
right.
no longer have a relationship with this person at all. I communicate with my dad all the time. It's not like how it was when he was a human being, but I can still communicate with his soul. I write him letters every day. He sends me messages and signs. So it's not I don't look at him as being gone. It's just a different relationship than if he were in his meat suit.
Exactly, that's what I call it in episode 130. I say
Yeah.
this human meat suit, this it is a meat suit. It's an incarnate. It's an type of avatar. Yeah. Oh, that's marvelous. That's so beautiful. Could you how about so okay, so when it comes to I had a question about something that you had said about your suicide attempt. Um, so I do have a question. I know this kind of goes somewhat off topic, but I figured I'd ask it now before I really forget, because I think I
Okay.
forgot most of the question, but I think I can figure it out. Okay. So, what was it that kept you like, in that experience of, self-abandoning for so long? Like, did that start from like childhood or like
Yes. So all of my self-abandonment stemmed from my belief that I didn't deserve to be loved. So with that logic, it's like inherently I am not lovable and don't deserve to be loved. So to get that feeling, I have to earn it or chase it or whatever. So I would always date unavailable people who would cheat on me. Again, the overachieving at jobs that didn't respect me was a huge theme in my life. Another thing that I did is I would self-harm by over-exercising and under-eating because it just fed that belief because it was just I was basically torturing myself, like, "You don't even deserve to be loved, so you don't deserve to feel that feeling,"
right?
and so that just, like, fed into that belief,
Yeah.
so that's why changing your internal narrative will change your life because after my attempt, traditional therapy had never worked for me.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that I needed help, so I hired a coach, and basically what I worked with him on and we didn't he didn't say like, "Okay, we're changing your internal belief," but we worked on behaviors that reflected self-respect, that reflected self-trust, and over time, that's what changed my internal belief system because it's like, "Yeah, I do deserve this. I do deserve that." And that's
Yeah.
why working in corporate America, like, it literally made me feel physically nauseous to go to work because that's because my limiting belief or excuse it wasn't a limiting belief. My belief was so strong that, like, I deserve this, I deserve that, I don't deserve to be treated this way. It was so strong, and it was so different than what I was experiencing that, like, my mental and physical health was suffering because of it. So it
Yes.
truly does dictate what goes on in your external world.
Exactly. And something that I learned is that like something that I've observed with me in my life is that, and others, is that the and others, and by others I mean others have said this too, but is that, the more I heal, the less I put up with.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is so true. Because 'cause I'm at the point where I honestly don't even care, like, someone could tell me anything, and it's like, I care way more about my own opinion of myself than anybody else's.
Right. Yes, yes. And so did what are the things that, because you said that was, one of the things that came out of the attempt, but, like, what other things did you, like, learn, before and after the attempt? Like, leading up to the attempt, because, things kinda, like, got worse before they got better, you had mentioned,
Yeah, one of the things I learned from that experience is I was trying to deal with everything on my own because I also grew up believing I was a burden.
yeah,
It was hard for me to ask for help, and so I was going through all these hard things, and just to be clear, some people are not capable of giving you the support you need, so that's why it's so basically what I learned on the other side is, like, it is critical to surround yourself with loving and supporting people because so that way when you go through those hard times, like, you have a support system to rely on because I did not have that at all, and that just like, trust me, what I was going through would have been stressful even in my current state of where I'm at now, but it was even worse thinking I had to deal with it on my own and that I didn't have anybody. And I remember at one point, I can't remember if this was before or after my attempt, but I was talking to my manager at work and I was really frustrated about something that's going on. And he made a comment to me. He was like, "Well, you always self-isolate and then you don't bring these things up until it's like exploding." And that was really impactful for me because I realized that was the first time someone had ever, like, verbally said, "This is how you behave," and I it really made me self-reflect, and I'm like, "He's right," and it's because I've always been scared to speak up or ask for the support, but now I have a healthy support system around me, so I know to ask for help when I need it.
yeah. There's a lot of things that you've been saying that I've been relating to. Yeah, like, where do I start? Where do I start? So, stemming from, like, childhood, like, I always felt like I was a burden as well, and I was more so, let me know if you relate to what I'm about to say next, but, once upon a time, there was a time in my childhood where I did express needs, but they were shut down.
Oh,
So
I totally relate, yeah.
gotcha, yeah, so I was more, like, shown and taught that I'm a burden, whether they intentionally, I think one of them intentionally did it, but whether it was intentional or not, that's what I mean, we're kids, we're gonna start, our narratives, oftentimes, have a lot to do with, like, just us trying to survive in the environment that we're in. And
Yes.
so eventually, I would just took the baton and started telling myself that. And so for so long, I call it toxic independence.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if that's actually a I know that's a thing, but I never heard the term. But I had said the term years ago when I realized it, like, in therapy, and I'm like, I think I'm toxic independence. Like, I think I'm that. Like, I know, thanks for the healing, like, intellectually, I know that I need others. Like, humans, we're not meant to be on our own. Like, that's just not how this incarnate is wired. However, emotionally, I'm just like, okay, how do I can't the emotional and the intellect just weren't on the same page, because
Yes.
emotionally I just had to, teach myself, like, only depend on yourself, overachieve. That's the only way you'll get some type of worth, validation. You're not a burden if everyone's clapping, things like that. So, yeah, so I was relating to a lot of what you said, but yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, and also just to be clear, because I do consider myself surrounded by loving and supportive people,
Mhm,
but even within that, you have to discern
mhm.
within that group. Like, so for example, a few weeks ago, I had a win in my life, and I told a few people in my group that I thought were supportive, and neither one of them were. So that was information, and not that I have to cut them off or anything, but that was information for me on how supportive they are.
Mm,
So even once you have a group of people surrounding you that you believe are loving and supportive, some of them can only meet you where they are at, which is not might not be where you need. So
mm,
another thing I've had to learn within that is, like, you can't expect other people to meet all your needs, even though they are loving and supportive, if that makes sense.
that makes perfect
Yeah, there's,
sense.
like, so many layers to this.
Right, yes, very complex. Yeah. I love that you said that. That because that's very important. That's something that I often like I know it, but I don't often like say it when I'm talking about like humans needing each other. I always like stress it. And I guess it's because like I'm used to just people teaching me in the past. Sorry. Um this very individualistic, and I know we live in a very individualistic society, where we glorify individualism, but I think that's killing us. I really do. I really
I
do.
think it's making us miserable because 'cause I've been
Mhm.
to Indonesia 3 times and Philippines, which are third world countries,
Mhm.
but these communities heavily rely on each other. Like, within a
Yes,
community, you
exactly.
have a few women who cook all of the food for the community, or a man who does all the handyman stuff or whatever, and they're just like it's almost like a business,
Yeah.
and they are rely on each other. But the first thing I notice when I go to, for example, the last time I was in Indonesia, I was surfing and we went to this beach. All these kids were, like, happy and smiling and laughing, and it was so noticeable to me because you don't hear that in the United States. You don't
Right.
see a group of kids that are, like, maybe if they're on a playground or something, but just normally in, like, normal interactions, you don't see people that happy and joyful, and it just made me realize how we live in the United States is
Mhm.
really affecting our mental health.
Really is. Exactly, exactly. I completely agree. There was this study that they did, that I read. Well, I don't know when the study was done, um, but I read about it recently about how they saw an increase, a significant increase of, they just recognized depression and anxiety, um, within kids who are introduced to technology early.
That's not surprising at
Cell
all.
phones, not surprising at all. Very heartbreaking, and I think that that contributes to the decline in the social capital, because that actually is. So for those who don't know what social capital is, so I'm learning a lot of words too in my PhD program, PhD sociology. So we're learning stuff. I don't know it all, folks. Trust me, I don't know, and I don't want to know it all. Actually, I really don't. Oh, because what I have learned, it's just been breaking me. Because I'm such an empath and I do really care.
Yeah.
Yeah. So social capital is basically very similar to what Angie was just saying. Social capital is the togetherness of a society. In America, social capital has been on a sharp decline. And guess where that started, folks? Was the mass release of television. So technology was in the mass. It was a mass release and triggered a decline. Then when cell phones were introduced, the decline got even faster. And I think that's very scary, knowing how social capital decline is going. It's still like decreasing. It's still going down. It's still declining. Suicide rates are going up. The male suicide rate, there's more women born in America than male born. Now, this does not, I do want to recognize intersex individuals, which, folks, if you don't know, that's just folks who are born both or born neither. Born. both or neither. We're just not taught about that in schools, folks. But there are people, your host is one, where they are born both. Okay, both like that, literally both sets. But it can also be different hormones as well. Like um, but there is a third normal variation of male, female. There's also intersex. So just want to throw that out there
Oh,
for folks.
interesting.
Yeah, yeah, we're not taught that on purpose.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. So, but anyways, folks, so there's more female born individuals than male born individuals in America. However, men make up 76% of the suicides on average. And within 10 years, um, if humans haven't, had a fallout in war, but within 10 years, it's said to be in the 80s, male suicide rates. Okay, and female born individuals, they attempt suicide more still, and that's still increasing, but they're not as successful in it as male born.
Oh,
And
I
so,
didn't know that statistic,
right,
interestingly
it's a
enough.
very
Yeah.
scary statistic, and it breaks me because I'm just like, social capital decline. I do think that it has something to do with it. Like if someone's in a really,
Yeah.
really, really dark place and they have no one, the Thomas Jefferson or Benjamin Franklin on the dollar bills isn't gonna, we live in this society that says, oh, get money and this kind of hustle culture, but like,
Well, do you think that's why men commit suicide more because, like, there's more pressure
yeah.
on them to make money or whatever,
Mhm.
and then they find because that's where I was at corporate America, like, you have this pressure to make more money and achieve more, and then you achieve that next level and make more money, and it's not fulfilling at all, and you're like,
Right.
"This is all it is?" And I think men have even more of that
Oh yeah.
pressure.
Oh yeah. Oh, I 1000% agree. And they have the societal pressure of, if you are suffering, you can't show that.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
true.
be a man, but don't be human. But be a man,
Yes.
and so that's why I hate limiting boxes. I can't stand it because I think the boxes are suffocating and I think they're deadly. Um
Well, so one of the things that really helped in my healing
mhm,
journey after my attempt, and I always say my healing journey didn't start in earnest until after my attempt because I attempted when I was 40, and in my 30s, I did things like go to yoga or go to spiritual workshops, and again, all of that stuff is looking for healing outside of yourself. So when I say I started my healing journey in earnest, that was like I really started to do the inner work on myself. But one of the things that really helped me was creating my own rules for life
mm,
because society has all these rules about things you should do, things you should not do. Yeah, like to your point, like men should be stoic and not show their emotions, but that's a society rule.
that's
That's not,
exactly.
or a lot of times that's also embedded in family systems, but
Yeah. Yeah, it's a
that's not a
construct.
rule. It's just like this
Exactly.
arbitrary thing that somehow we all decided it's a thing, but it's not a thing.
Yeah.
So make your own rules for life, and that's
Yeah.
how you succeed.
I love what you said exactly because folks, if we even do like research on like history of humanity, we will see like a lot of okay, for example, the color pink. My favorite color used to be blue. However, I now love the color pink. It's my favorite color and I love it because it's more symbolic. It's more symbolic to the construct of society and how society changes. Society is never satisfied. For example, throughout majority of history, pink was um oh, I hate saying this, but according to society back then, throughout majority of history, pink was a man's color.
Oh,
If
really?
if women wore pink, they were looked at differently. Like that's a man's color. So throughout majority of history, pink was a man's color. Nail Painted nails, that throughout majority of history, that was a male thing. Women didn't do that always. Women did not do that always. That was frowned upon, just like how we frown upon men for painting their nails. It was the same back then, and so learning all of these constructs that have no scientific framework, no scientific basis. They're just societal constructs. I just echo what Angie just said about, this is your life. This is your life, like live you, like live you, love you, get to know you. What do you like? Do you like gardening? Were you born male and like a gardening? Oh well, love the gardening. Do gardening. Seriously, because society now says, oh, that's a women's thing. 40 years from now, they're probably going to be saying something different.
And that's a good point because I never knew the history on pink and painting nails. So
Mhm.
yeah, in the future, all of this can be reversed back again.
Yeah. And so I'm just like, who's really right? And I was like, well, actually,
Yeah,
no one's right. No one's right or wrong. It's just a
yeah.
color. It is just a nail polish. Like, just do it. Just look, if you like it, do it. Love it. So that's why I love the color pink. It's to I feel
I
like
love that reason. See, and that's just it. Nobody ever says the reason why they like things. So someone could probably
good
criticize you
point.
for why you like pink, but like knowing the reason why is so powerful.
Yeah. And so like if you go to my office, it's like decorated in pink and it's so strategic. And because I tell my I love when my students come, it's a way for me to, when they come visit my office, it's a way for me to, you know share that, that history with them. It's just like, because most of them, not all of them, but most of them comment on it and say that's a lot of pink, or that they really like it, and that's a perfect opportunity. And I say that to just help them get, freedom as well, because I got a lot of freedom knowing, that so many things that I was taught was actually just societal construct slash lie.
Right.
Yeah. And so, for example, like women, female born, and I'll just give two more cool facts. So intersexed individuals, female individuals, male individuals, that was normal throughout history. That just was normal. Now we just aren't taught it depending on what country you're living in. I love America, don't get me wrong, but we strategically do things on purpose because, the victors get to rewrite history and tell us what they want. And to, anyways, so yeah, so acknowledging intersex individuals was always a thing. It was always a thing. Throughout majority of history, there were never two genders. People identified as multiple genders, and that was normal. That wasn't frowned upon. Same-sex couples, that was normal. That wasn't frowned upon. That is a modern age concept, and and a lot of the shift in thinking, or excuse me, in teaching, there we go, occurred when we through like European colonialism. That's what did a lot. And folks, trust me, I'm not just blabbering. I'm unfortunately I have to learn this news as well. And so I'm thinking about changing my dissertation for my PhD and, going that route. But anyways, yeah, so throughout majority of history there were never two genders ever. That's a modern age concept. There are multiple genders. There's the bunaki, there's the two-spirited, there's he, she, they. There's like 23 other genders that people went by, and it was normal. And then another thing is women in leadership. That was so normal. Like, it was normal. It is only we're just not taught it. And so I think that, when it comes up for women to be in leadership, people fear it because they are scared of what they, I guess, never heard of or don't know. But folks, like, it has been so normal. If you look to history and you look at now, and if we're putting right or wrong, we're not the correct ones. We're not, oh, only men should be in leadership. That's, according to history, that's not true or correct. It wasn't this divide. There wasn't, that is a modern age thing. And I think it's very strategic because it division is a great way to control people.
Oh, for sure. I
Mhm.
think it's strategic in that people who are not independent thinkers
Mm,
are safe and will follow the lead.
yeah,
But if you have an independent thinker who's makes their own rules,
yeah,
they're more powerful than
yes.
the people just following, and that's not what they want. But
Exactly, it's a threat to
yeah,
yes, exactly.
but I think it's super powerful to live your own life and be
Yeah.
an independent thinker. So I highly, highly recommend not following the herd.
Exactly, exactly. You don't want to get to the end of your life, folks, and look back and say, wow, I lived for everyone but myself. I'm just like, that just breaks my heart. Now, of course, you can reincarnate if you want to, and, but I mean, if you want to, I don't know. I wouldn't. Like, I mean, I would just do it now, but that's just me. But yeah,
But it's also
so,
too never too late to change because I spent a majority of my life
mhm,
living for other people and I was able to change. So it's never too late.
yeah, exactly. And that's the thing for me, Angie, I feel like I was forced to change. I had no choice just because the amount of abuse around me was so significant. It clearly set me apart, but and I do find beauty in having to be independent on myself is because though I learned some unhealthy things, that I had to unlearn and heal through, excuse me. I also there were points where all I had was myself.
Right.
And so I had no choice but to be whatever I was in that season. And so that's one of the few things that I like applaud about like my journey with, independence. I say few things because I mean I'm just how okay, so something really cool I want to share with you. Okay.
Okay.
And I talk a little bit about it in episode 130 is it'll make this make sense. Is so when I was on the other side, I also got to see, past lives and see that, I was not from Earth and my home world was a very as are most other planets are very harmonious, very communal, very, very loving compared to Earth. Earth is the hardest dimension um, to incarnate on. It's a very unique place for growth, and it's quicker than other places. Earth is one of the few places where love and hate exist at the same time, very strongly,
Mm,
and that's what makes Earth unique. Is because eh, they exist together so strongly. And so, folks, if you're here, I'm proud of you for incarnating here. I don't care how hard or easy your life is. I'm proud of you for incarnating here because this place is not easy. And applaud yourself if you've been able to smile even once on this place. You've already did something so huge. And I was also able to see like on the other side like how huge and how significant it is to um just be loving and I'm not saying humans are perfect. No, that's not the thing that we do. We don't come here to be perfect. So we know that. So but just if you've made someone smile, if you loved someone today, even if that includes yourself, that is huge to the vibrational shifts on Earth. That is so huge, and I wish I could. If I wish words could express. But anyways, so I can see why I'm personally not a fan of independence as well as just my experiences. But I can also see intellectually I can see like the good and independence and things like that. So I'm more so in for like interdependence, but at the same time, emotionally and spiritually, I'm biasly more for like dependence or interdependence rather than independence.
I
One,
think
just
there's a
because,
healthy balance though, right?
yeah,
Because 'Cause you definitely need community and
Mhm.
support, but like how I was saying before, you can't always rely on those people to be
Exactly.
everything, so you do have
Exactly.
to be things for yourself as well.
Exactly. And that's been my journey, is being able to learn that, even though like I was so like just toxically independent, I still intellectually recognized, the need for me being dependent. However, like I could preach it all day. Angie, I could still not do it. I mean, I can do it now. Like I can be interdependent and dependent now, but that was a recent thingy. But I love what you said, that healthy balance. And you want to know something interesting? I didn't even know about the word interdependence until I was, what, 23, 24? That's 3 years ago. I didn't know about that. I didn't know about that at all. And so I was like, wow, well that makes sense. It's just like, okay, that makes sense. Because like I would also would see like the cons of like too much dependence and things like that, depending on
Because that's
persons.
codependency, right?
Yes, exactly. And so it's been such a journey. But I love that you mentioned, like your side of it as well, because it helps me like emotionally and spiritually just receive and learn that more. Because like, and I keep mentioning intellectually because I don't know how else to say it, like that my heart and my mind, oftentimes, not all the time, but oftentimes when it comes to certain things, like they're not on the same page. like like I know, for example, like I know that person, I know they're, if to be in a relationship with them, it's toxic. So intellectually, I just say no and I don't get in a relationship with them. But emotionally, I also am just like, yeah, probably best not to. But there's still that part of me that's just like, okay,
I
just
think that's
give
a
them a
very
chance.
human experience, though.
Mhm. Yeah.
Also, the heart side of it, I my heart has led me down the wrong path before because to your point, I think like, let's just use your example of getting into a relationship with a toxic person. Your brain understands that they're toxic, but at the end of the day, this is my opinion, everyone's soul is pure and good. They're just
Yes, it
masked
is.
by all because we all have issues, right?
Mhm.
So some people just wear the mask and have more issues than others, but your heart is seeing their soul and is seeing they're a good person. And
Yes,
there's nothing wrong with that. So you have to use both, right? Because your heart knows
it's
that they're a good
beautiful.
person because they are, but your brain is like, well, they have certain behaviors that are not healthy to me, so it's not a good idea.
You almost made me cry. That was beautiful. I've never heard someone say that. Like, I've never heard someone verbalize that. That is so beautiful. Because Angie, like, honestly, that is really true. Like, on the other side, I mean, our true nature outside of this meat suit, we are just pure love and light, and it's amazing. And that's why, like, I also emphasize, like, yeah, we don't come here to be perfect. Like, we knew signing up, and that's why, like, Earth was not necessarily like, when we choose to come here, it's not always like this easy decision necessarily. Like, like, because it's something that's way out of our character. We're very loving, harmonious, oneness type of beings on the other side. Whereas on Earth, there's a lot of like division, a lot of divide, and then you have the human limitations, like the law of gravity that doesn't
Yeah.
exist everywhere. And so, like, humans can't fly, but like, and if something hurt us, it could manifest into many things in many of ways. It can manifest into addiction, into this, into that. It's very, very complex meat suit. But I love that you mentioned that, Angie. I needed that reminder.
Oh,
I needed that
good.
reminder. I really did. I'm in the sake of vulnerability time. I am struggling. Been struggling lately. Certain things about, and it's valid that people like struggle with this, folks. I'm not saying it's not valid. No, no, it's totally valid. I'm just saying, like, for me, I'm having the internal struggle because I've been on the other side and I got to remember and I got to take that love and oneness with me. So when I see like humans just killing humans, you know,
Yeah.
that are innocent, I don't know if I can say it on here, but I don't know because Spotify. There was a contract change around the time that everyone started speaking up about a certain war happening that it's been killing children just trying to seek food. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So,
censored?
hmm
Okay.
you said what? Wait, sorry.
I asked if it was censored because I can tell you're, like, struggling with the words you wanna use.
I think it's censored. I didn't read the new contract. I didn't read the new contract. Now a guest can say it. The
But we
contract
said
is on
the S
here.
word earlier. I think that's
Oh yeah,
censored.
suicide. No, no, we can talk about that. How about
Okay.
this? Well, it starts with a Stein. The last words are Stein.
Yeah.
Yeah, the last word of the so I just seeing someone do that, it just like it looks so intentional that they're, killing innocent civilians like overwhelmingly. And that when I look at leadership and I just get very, very I get very I get so hurt that I just stop seeing the good in the leadership.
Yeah.
And then,
I'm an empath too, so I totally understand what you're saying, and I don't know how to say what I'm about to say because it's not about burying your head in the sand or
mhm,
pretending this stuff isn't happening because it absolutely is, but ultimately, we have little control
mhm,
over that situation, and like in my coaching program, it's about the inner work, but I call it shine from the inside because when you are radiating with that level of love inside of yourself, not only does it up level your life, but the people around you can feel that as well and it inspires them to be the light. And then it has like this ripple effect because then they're shining their light and then because it's like the sun, right? Because the sun is just a ball of gas doing its own thing, but look at all the benefits the sun has on the earth and other planets.
yes, yes,
So, ultimately, my point is, it's like you're either contributing to raising the vibration of the planet, or you're contributing to all that fear and anger propaganda. So, what you can control and I think you're doing an amazing job of this now, like, you could only control the energy that you're putting out, like, you put out this podcast, which I think is so helpful for so many people, and, everything else that you do in your life, and that's what you can control, so if you focus on that, it actually is helping that situation.
it is. I'm amazing. I almost started crying. I needed to hear that. I really do need to hear
And I know it's hard, and again, it's not about burying your head in the sand because, like, real shit is happening on a day-to-day basis,
right,
I'm not denying that, but you can't stop that by
right,
contributing to that level of
right,
you fa
exactly.
and I do this too, you fall into that fear vibration, and then you're contributing to it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like I was totally contributing to the anger and hate vibration. Like I
Yeah,
really was. And it just was starting to like I don't know, it just was kind of like draining me in a way. It's just like if I was in the other vibration, the more higher vibrations, I could do more. Like you said, like this podcast, like this is helping. It is helping the vibrations, like, because there is the pressure, vibrational pressure, like that shift is real. Um, yeah, and I just rather, especially when it comes to that, I rather not like I mean, you said it right. Like I rather be on the other side of duality, which is, the love and light side. Because the dark side, though, as above, so below. But, it just doesn't,
and you can feel when you're getting pulled into it too.
yes, 1000%. Yeah. So I just rather I'm so glad you said that. I really needed to hear that because it's been just really affecting me lately, and I'm just, yeah.
Well, and it doesn't help that and this falls into the fear propaganda.
Mhm.
What we see on the news, it's only the bad
It's only
stuff.
the bad,
There
no, the
are
good.
people trying to help. There
Mhm.
are good efforts going on. We're just not seeing that.
Right, exactly. And that's beautiful because I, spirit, higher self or universe, one of them was telling me, like, remember that, like, the news, it's very, very, very strategic in what it puts out. It's just like there's so much good happening on this earth that you don't even know. Someone yesterday just met the love of their life. Someone yesterday got healed from cancer. Someone, when the doctor said there was no way, someone's family is celebrating because of this, because of that. Someone stopped someone from taking their life. Someone got awakened yesterday. Someone took their life and came back yesterday, and or came back awakened, and now they have this brand new perspective. They have this brand new drive, brand new energy. They realize their purpose now. Something good is happening, even in the midst of a lot of darkness. There's a lot of light happening, and ultimately, like on the other side, like I know on Earth we may not be able to see it, but on the other side we're able to like see more. Like light does overcome it all. It just
Absolutely.
does.
I truly believe that, yeah.
Thankfully,
Despite all of
thankfully
the
it
stuff
does.
going on right now.
Yes. So it's just like, yeah, especially like the law of grace that, like, everything will work out for the good eventually. Um yeah, okay, that was beautiful. I do have a question. Would you
Yes.
say, I don't know if I should ask this on air. I don't know if it'll trigger someone. But there's something I wanted to ask you just personally. I
Do
don't
you
know.
not edit?
I don't edit because it is vulnerability time,
Yeah,
unless
no,
the
I
guest
I'm
wants me
fully
to
on
edit.
board with that. I don't edit anything I do
Mhm.
either.
Folks, okay, skip the next. If you think you might get triggered, so I'm gonna ask a question about like suicide. So if you think you might get triggered, just go ahead and skip for the next two, three. Let's just skip for the next 3 minutes. How about that? Okay, I'm serious. Like, okay, so I'll give you 5 seconds to skip. Five, four, three, two, one. Okay, so Angie, do you feel as though like I don't know how to ask that, but do you feel as though your attempt might have supposed to happen or that it was necessary to awaken you and your purpose? Like that was the shift, that was the big.
Oh, absolutely, because life kept handing me the same lessons, and I wasn't learning.
Mhm.
I still had the same behaviors, the same solutions, and none of them worked, and I firmly believe that I had to go through that to wake up because again, I was seeking all these external things to make me feel better, and it wasn't until it was like 2 days after I got out of the hospital because I was still kind of high and out of it,
Mm.
and I finally sobered up and I was like, "I need help and I'm willing to invest any amount of money to get that help," because I had to get to the point where I was desperate.
Yeah. Mhm.
And that's why I like speaking my story though, because I don't want other people to get to that point because I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. When you start from rock bottom, it is not easy. It took me way longer. It took way more effort than it would have taken. Whereas if maybe 5 years earlier, I would have been like, "Hey, you know what? I'm going down the wrong road. I'm gonna invest some money in myself and make myself a better person." It wouldn't have been that hard of a journey to heal. So that's why I like to share my story, because if you
Yes.
find yourself in a cycle of negative behaviors or seeking external validation or you're not happy and fulfilled, invest in yourself and get the help now because
Mhm.
it's not gonna get better.
Right, 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 exactly. You don't want to have to reach rock bottom if you don't have to, right?
Yeah,
It's,
'cause
it's,
trust
it's
me,
a
like,
lot
don't be like
fun.
me. That was the hardest way to do it.
Yeah. Um, do you still, okay, I still have time. Do you still, mind you, I don't know how to ask these, so I'm just asking. Do you still feel, um, or carry any type of like shame for even like attempting that?
A little,
Okay.
or sometimes it's hard for me actually, I think the shame more revolves around how much I really hated myself,
Mhm.
because that's not something that was even in my realm of like, I knew my life wasn't happy and I didn't understand why,
Yeah.
and now after I've gone through a lot of healing, I'm like, "Wow, I really hated myself,"
Mhm.
and I feel like the shame is more around not only that, but just how I treated myself.
Mm.
And I mean, of course, I didn't wanna live if I felt that way, you know what I mean? So the shame isn't necessarily around trying to end my own life,
Mm.
because that was just a way to end the pain. I was in so much pain,
Right.
but it was just the shame is around like, "Wow, I really hated myself, and that sucks."
Yeah. I agree. I agree with you. Okay, good. I'm glad it's not towards the other part because I mean I did get to, I mean you'll hear it in episode 130 if you go listen, but I did get to hear a lot about like I get to learn about like basically I'll say this how we view death on earth is not how it's viewed on the other side.
Yeah.
How we
Well, and that's
view
another reason I
Mhm.
like I shouldn't say I like talking about my experience, but I do talk about my experience because 1, to prevent other people from
Yeah,
hitting their rock bottom,
yeah.
but also I think there's so many stigmas around suicide. Like, for
So
instance,
many.
number 1 is that it's selfish, but
It's
I was in such a state of hopelessness
mm,
and just trying to end my own misery. It's in that state, you just have tunnel vision, just like if your leg got chopped off and you were in extreme physical pain, you would only be thinking about your leg. You wouldn't be thinking about anything else. So it's not selfish
right.
because that's just not where your mind is.
Exactly. Exactly. It's not selfish at all. I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah. I completely 1000% agree. You know, if our soul is naturally, folks, our soul is naturally, mind you, in a state of love and light. And so when something is not that, it's, you know, I know we don't talk about it, but it's very natural that our soul would want to go back home. You know, it's very, very natural, and no one's weak or less than for having that natural soul, um,
Yeah.
longing, because that's our natural state. So, of course, we're not gonna like feeling in hopelessness and despair for too long. That's,
Yeah, and like how I was saying before, like I hated myself,
yeah,
whereas like now I have that feeling of home inside of me, so I don't feel the need to leave to go chase it somewhere else.
right.
But yeah, I just hated myself. And on that note, even if I did take a second to think about other people, the people who were surrounding me in my life back then, I honestly wouldn't have thought they would have cared. Whether that's true or not, that would have been my perception, and I've heard other people say that. So,
Mhm,
also
mhm,
keep in mind, people probably reach that state like, I was self-harming myself, but the people around me were also emotionally damaging to
mhm.
me. So, that's, like, another thing that makes it not selfish.
Yeah. Oh, I love that you can. So can you speak more on let me see. Sure. One second. Let me write something down because I'm gonna. Remember, I told you I was gonna split the episode up into two,
Oh, yeah.
do a part one, part two, because I wanted to give you all the time you needed. Okay. So I'll do. Yeah, I'll do. Okay. Oh, yeah. Let me just put that by your name. All right. Sorry, folks. One second. So, um, I feel like so when I hear people say that it's selfish, and I don't agree. I've never agreed. That just didn't never sit well with me. I feel like they're missing, so much of the complexities of the situation, thinking that it's a very black and white thinking. Now, this one time, this guy's brother said it, but I just let him say it because he's grieving. That's his journey. That's his brother. But like for people who don't necessarily have any experience with suicide, they just know what they hear. One, um, it's not something you want to go through. I mean, it doesn't feel great. No one's like extremely happy and then, that they're gonna take their life. Like there's so much more complexities, there's so much more to the story, for it to just be blanketed with, oh, that's selfish. So I was like, oh, no, 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 no. Um, there's so much more. I'm sure you'd agree, right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I was gonna say something and now I forget.
I'm so sorry. I
No,
was
that's
talking
okay.
more than I
I wanted you to
apologize.
finish your thought.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, I know what I was
Okay,
gonna
good.
say. I
Fabulous.
remember one time so on social media, the S word is heavily
Hmm.
filtered, and
Yeah.
because I remember I saved this post, but it was later deleted, but someone had posted something about suicide being selfish, and this girl commented that her sister had committed suicide, and she said she was happy that her sister committed suicide because she was so miserable and
Yes.
unhappy, and she just hated seeing her live like that,
Mhm.
and I thought that was such a cool perspective
Such a
because
cool
if
perspective.
only people saw it that way because think about it, when people are vegetables on life support, we pull the plug because we claim their quality of life isn't enough to keep them alive. I think the same is true for mental health,
Yes.
and we aren't recognizing that.
Right. Right, exactly, because mental health has way too much stigma on it. And with stigma comes ignorance. And I don't mean that in a shameful way, folks. I mean, ignorance just means not knowing, but, we are also taught certain things, and those things aren't biologically, scientifically, psychologically true. For example, like, oh, men shouldn't cry. What? Men are humans cry. Humans have emotions. Everyone's a human first before we even place that label on them, of like, oh,
Yeah.
male, female, and there's intersex too. What about them? And so, but yeah, okay, so one of my best friends, both of them actually, so they told me and showed me the most loving thing ever. And, when I was talking about, I'm wanting to leave, y'all know my life. I don't have to go through and explain everything. Like, y'all know my life. Y'all know, like, I've done so much good. I'm not perfect, but I've done so much good, especially given the fact that I literally came from no love. I'm able to give so much love and light. And y'all know I died when I was 15 already. Like, I know, like, my purpose now and what I came here to do. And that was, I volunteered to come here. It was a volunteer. But anyways, they know me, my story. And, I told them, and this was a while ago. Depending on, I don't know. But anyways, but they both did something so loving. Like they always understood me in it. But I asked them, I was like, why are you not like visibly sad that I'm leaving? Like you're not trying to stop me. And they're just
Mm,
like, because we understand. And he used the that example. His aunt was a vegetable, and the family wanted to keep her alive. But he, as much as he didn't want to, he's uh-oh. Sorry, it like blanked
that's
out a little bit. As much as he didn't want to, he told them he's like, look at how she's suffering. She's suffering. It's time to let her go. And so he compared that example to my life at the time, that,
yeah.
because like he knows he gets like he's never experienced it necessarily, but he's seen my agony, he's seen my hurt, he's seen me cry, he's seen, my parents and stuff like that. Sorry, I need to put this on a charger. He's seen all of that. And folks, I was talking about my laptop, by the way. My laptop needs to be on a charger. Um, and so I just thought that was so loving that they're just like, we love you enough to where it's like we understand. Like we understand if you leave, like you deserve and are worth the love that you got to experience on the other side. You talked about finally knowing what it feels like again, notice I said again, finally knowing what it feels like again to have parents, I wake up today, like in this human incarnate, this one, I wake up every day. And though, like, you can never tell, but, I still feel this type of like emptiness in my heart where a parent's, love should have
Oh,
been.
same. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's just like, yeah, it's not like, dragging me down or nothing. No, it's not. But it's like, it's noticeable. And so that's just one of the things where they were just like, you are worthy of that. You're worthy of that. And so we get it. And so
That
that
warms
just
my
so
heart
loving.
so much because I feel like that is the definition of unconditional love,
There you
right?
go. Yeah.
Like, I love you so much that I would rather you be happy even if it's on the other side of the
Yeah.
veil.
Yes. Yes. And yeah, let's just say I think that that is too. When I first heard them say it, I actually kind of like had a vision that they would say that because I
Oh.
did come back from the other side with some people call it superpowers. I say it's not sure. I was like sure.
No, my intuitive abilities, like, were on another level after my near-death
Yeah.
experience. So,
Yes. So
I
you
get
get
it.
me.
It's
Yeah,
hard to
you get
explain,
me.
though.
Yeah, it's hard to explain sometimes. Yeah. But I knew that they would say that, but I just remember this longing, this craving of like. And usually when I long and crave like this, it means it's going to happen. And so I was like, someone is going to show me that type of love. And spirit and universe was like, that's unconditional love. And that's what I was mentioning with like how we even picture suicide on this earth. That's not how it's pictured on the other side.
Right.
We have we're taught a very strategically, we're taught this, depending on the society that you're in, we're taught a very broken view of death. And like we mentioned earlier, it's a great strategic control strategy. It really is. Y'all, I'm not even just talking out of my ass. I mean, getting my PhD in sociology, I study the systems, and there's so many systems that it blows my mind, but it just makes sense
Well
why things are the way they are sometimes. And I'm like,
well, the system is designed to prevent you
from
from
awakening.
doing it, but it's
Oh
not
yes, yes.
designed to increase your mental health.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so for example, well, when religions talk about that it's
Mm-hmm.
sinful or whatever,
Right,
that's about preventing you from doing it, but you're not getting any advice
right,
on how to improve your mental health.
right.
And
Exactly.
also, my day and a half stint in the hospital after my attempt, I was in the emergency room, but then they threw me in the psych ward,
Mm-hmm.
and the psych ward honestly contributed to, most of my PTSD
Mm-hmm.
after my attempt because they were not there to take care of me. They
Mm-hmm.
were there to prevent myself from harming myself.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
was basically just treated like a dog and a pound.
Right.
And it was so dehumanizing,
Yeah.
and it just made me realize how messed up the system was. They weren't there to help me with my mental health. They were trying to prevent me from doing it because that would mess up the statistics
It
in
would.
their eyes,
Mhm.
and all the
Yeah.
things.
And another thing is, w- they want us here enough, um, because it's money for them. We put money out into
Oh, yeah. My
society.
hospital bill was no joke
Mhm,
because I had spent the night.
mhm.
My
Yeah,
insurance only covered so much, so I had, like, a huge out-of-pocket
yeah,
portion of that, so yeah, oh,
yeah,
totally.
yeah. And so that just was, I mean, yeah, I hear you. Yeah, so it's very strategic. But yeah, Angie, I love that thank you for sharing everything that you've been sharing, by the way. You know, uh, I forgot what I was going to say, but I love that you're the third person in my life, the third person, and the first two were the other two, my two best friends, but you're the third person that I've ever met that has that type of unique, unconditionally loving view of it. And I'm not bashing
Oh,
anybody else. I'm not
yeah, no,
bashing
I know
like
what you mean.
yeah. So folks, I'm not bashing, like it's completely understandable. Like if you think otherwise, like no, I get it. Like it's completely understandable. But having actually been in that type of rock bottom that me and Angie have been in, like I mean, we definitely have different perspective for sure because that something like that definitely you don't survive that with necessarily the same perspectives. It's a different experience, I will say, you know. And so you're the third person, and I want you to know that I am glad that you exist, and thank you for incarnating on this earth. Thank you for choosing to come here. Seriously, you chose, and I just think that's so beautiful of you and your soul to come here to help, especially during a time like this. Like, there's so much hate going on, and it's not easy to miss. I mean, it's not hard to miss. Like, we see it on the news. And so, I will say for me, Angie, I needed you today. I'm just be honest. I needed a reminder that so much more goodness out there does exist, and you have shown me that. Not only have you told me that, but your just existence has shown me that, and I need you to know that. I was going to wait until after the episode
Aw,
to tell you this, but I was like, no, I'm just going to say it on air. I'm going to give you that honor on air. You're worth
that
it.
warms my heart so much, so thank you. Also, thank you for having forums like this for people to be vulnerable because there is just so much pretending,
Mhm,
editing, and
mhm.
filtering, and there's that's not real life.
Right.
So why don't we just talk about real life? So I love that you
Yes.
have the forum so that we can talk about this. And also, this conversation in itself is actually really magical if you think about it, because both of us very easily could have died, but
Yes.
we didn't because we
Right.
had a purpose, and now somehow we're here
Right.
together. So I think
Exactly.
there's something super special in that as well.
And yours was like a decade ago, you said?
No, it's just 5 years
5
ago.
years ago. Okay, gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, mine was a decade ago. Who knows? And now look, we met. So
Everything works out.
everything works out. Um, Angie, before we go, two things. One, is there well, three things actually. One, is there any a website that you have or books that you would like to tell us about? Folks, it will be in the episode description below, so go check it out. Yeah.
Yes, my website is runninginslippers.com. As I mentioned before, I do have a book, so any information about where to get my book, it's on paperback, Kindle, and audiobook wherever audiobooks are sold. It also has information about my coaching program, Shine from the Inside, which, by the way, the conversation that we just had is basically why I switched professions, because I feel like there's so much need for people helping each other and raising the vibration of the universe. So I do what I do now because I want to help people become better versions of themselves so they can be happy and fulfilled on the inside and just spread that light all over the world because we need that now more than ever. So, and I do offer a free call for first-time clients. So because my goal is to help people. So we will have a call. I'll figure out what you're struggling with and if I can help you, because my program is not for everyone. And if it's not, I know other coaches, I have other resources that I can refer you. So the goal for the end of the call is to get you help, whatever that means for you.
Yes. Beautiful. Link in the episode description below, folks. Go check it out. Two, I like to leave off with a well, oh, that's number three. Number two, Angie, is there anything else that you wanted to share? And if not, I do have a question that will
Oh,
from
well, I have a
sharing.
question for
Oh,
you
yes.
because I know you changed your name. What does your
Yes.
name mean?
Oh my God. Yes. Oh my God, you remember. So, okay, so my full name means, and it's Greek and Hebrew. So Josias means God is healing, or God has healed me. Um, my last name Abriel means My father God, I almost forgot. Now, I don't take it necessarily as my father God. I take it as my parental higher power. Okay.
Okay.
And then my middle name, Darolios Epizon, is Greek for
Ooh,
courageous survivor. Yeah, right.
I love
And
that.
so my full name is literally my journey. Ever since I was 15, like my full name is literally my journey. Is that my higher power is healing this courageous survivor. So it's
That's so beautiful.
literally my journey, literally my story. I said I wanted to, because I just, the person that I was 20 years ago is not the person that I am today, and there's a huge change after the near death experience. Um and so I just was like, I want something. It's just been boiling in me, and it's just seeped over time, where I'm just like, okay, I'm getting a name change, but it's got to be something symbolic. I want something that really represents me and my journey. And so now it's my full new legal name, all of
And
it.
I love that because and that's your identity too. Because I
Yes.
think because we were saying earlier, the words you choose are powerful, but your name is also super powerful. So for you to take on a new name that is your new identity, that's
Yes.
amazing.
Thank you, Angie. Thank you so much. That means a lot to me. Angie, for someone out there that really does mean a lot to me. For someone out there right now who is maybe thinking about it, about leaving Earth, or knows someone who is thinking about leaving Earth, uh, what words of encouragement, what would you have liked to hear back then?
Honestly, I think all I really needed was a hug
Yes,
because
thank
that is like
you.
the best way to show someone you care. Because I think a lot of times people are like, I don't know what to say. I don't know the
Exactly.
words. You don't even need any words. Like a
Right.
hug is such a beautiful act of love. And I didn't feel like anyone cared. And if someone would have just gave me a hug, that would have changed my life.
Exactly. Being present is so important because with some of the stuff I went through, I wouldn't even know what to say. So it just
Oh, yeah, and
right.
that's why you asked what would I say to someone who's, like, suicidal or whatever. I honestly don't know, I would just give
Yeah.
them a hug.
Yes, exactly. I'm so glad you mentioned that. See, that's beautiful. Um, folks, I like to leave off with a little challenge. Every episode. Here's two challenges. You can choose. You can do one or you can do both. One is the normal one. Tell 1 to 2 people today that they are worth it, or that they are worthy, or that they are lovable. Say both, say it all. Let someone know, and that includes yourself. So you can be one of those 2 people. Or it could just be you today, 1 to 2 people. It doesn't matter, And I say 1 to 2 because social anxiety. I get it. So see, it's not too big. Just something small that can make a huge difference. Um, and then the second challenge is you can either do both or one, but hug somebody today, someone that you know. I mean, if I guess if a stranger really needs it and you feel safe, go for it. But like, um, hug somebody today. You know, just do that. So that's my challenge today, folks, for y'all to do. Um, Angie, you are worth it. You are worthy, and you are so lovable. You are
I was just gonna
so
say that to
lovable.
you. You are
Oh,
worthy and you are lovable.
thank you.
I was like, I can easily complete half of my challenge right now.
Oh, yes. I love that. But alrighty, folks. Well, this has been another episode of Vulnerability Time. I am your host and published author. Check out Angie's anything Angie sends me be in the episode description below. I really want y'all to support Angie, so please, please, please share this episode. Um, and or the links as well. I really want y'all to support. Like this is powerful. This is inspiring. This is light. This is love. This is the definition of love. So folks, please do that. Love today. Love always. Okay. Alrighty. Bye folks.